Welcome back, everybody. Now for my next video. This one's the one that I said that was kind of, it's like connected to the next video I'm going to shoot, but it's, about money. Both this video and the next video about money. So, I mean, it kind of doesn't have something to do with some of the other videos I've shot, but it kind of, sort of, halfway does. But anyway, I have this great aunt by one of my grandparents who certain ones of this great aunt's adult children have money issues. It's not all of this aunt's children. It's just, two of the kids out of, somewhere between 4 and 10 kids. I can't remember how many kids she has offhand. But, there's, more than 4, but definitely less than 10 adult children, grown children. The great aunt's name is Catherine. And, she's getting pretty old. She's like 98 years old. And, she's not exactly young anymore. And all of her children would be operationally defined, even by the United States government as quote-unquote normal. Catherine's 2 main problem children are called Zelma and Elizabeth, respectively. I forget which one's older because I get them confused every time I see them. The problem that comes with, the money for both Zelma and Elizabeth is that they waste money on, what I'd call fluff stuff. That'd be like, going and eating extravagant or expensive meals inside of like high-priced, high-end restaurants, like Red Lobster every other week, or every other night, stuff like that, like the high-end stuff. Not saying that Red Lobster is expensive, although it can be. One of them, out of Zelma and Elizabeth, also like to go bet on horses at the racetrack. Hobby stuff for like role-playing games like dice and figurines and, models and blah blah blah, think Dungeons and Dragons. And buying items like shoes, purses, clothes for like themselves or their respective spouses that cost like an exorbitant, amount of money, like a Coach or a Gucci purse or bag that goes for like $300 to $500 retail, and some like, perfume like Elizabeth Taylor's White Diamonds that goes for like $90 for like a bottle this size, or like a new $500 some odd dollar 3-piece suit with matching nice dress shoes and socks that, makes the one's husband look like, either a bad used car salesman, a really crooked preacher, or a politician during election season, just to name a few of these, bad money choices these, two make. But, it amazes me. I mean, this is, just a tip of what these 2 women blow their money on a frequent basis. I mean, these 2 women and their spouses are lucky enough to be able to cobble together enough money after they, blow their money on whatever it is they got, to pay any of their bills. And I mean in any way, shape, and form. I mean, like, they can't even pay like $5 towards their bills hardly half the time. A lot of the time, though, these 2 women go to Catherine, their mom, or one of their other siblings to borrow money to pay Zelma and Elizabeth's bills, because these 2 have run out of money before the 2 of them were to actually sit down to pay the bills, which these 2 dummies should have been doing first, instead of fooling around and buying fluff with the money or wasting it on food inside the nice restaurant or betting on horses down at the gambling track. I recently heard about these 2 goober cousins of mine from my older cousin who's their sibling. Because this 3rd cousin has power of attorney over Catherine, their mom, and is, well, long story short, Catherine's most responsible child. That is, of course, to say that this other sibling is more responsible financially than Zelma and Elizabeth will ever be in their lives. I mean, unless they have, like, somebody smack them upside the head or something, I don't know. But anyway, I told like a few weeks or months back, I talked to Camilla, the other child that calls Catherine mom, that's got the power of attorney over Catherine, that I think Catherine needs to seriously start cutting Elizabeth and Zelma off the knees, and, you know, completely, like, eventually just stop, like, being willing to pay Zelma and Elizabeth's bills or bail them out, you know, and then just eventually just yank the rug out from under them and be like, you know, deal with it. You know, this is some stuff they should have been doing years ago. But, you know, it's gotten to the point now where poor Catherine, at 98 years old, you know, is suffering from major financial hardship, to where she, Catherine, is lucky to be able to put food on her own table, pay her own utilities, you know, like water bill, phone bill, electric bill, or even to buy herself medication to keep Catherine with us a few more years. You know, and I told Camilla, the other daughter, about this, I'd say probably, you know, a while back. I can't remember. I mean, it's been a while. You know, at least, you know, a few months or maybe even a year or more, you know, back. When I saw Camilla recently, Camilla told me she'd talked at great length with Catherine, her mom, and Camilla had told Catherine what I had said, and after Camilla said that Catherine thought about it, Catherine said that what Camilla said that I had said was right. You know, Zelma and Elizabeth needed to be slowly weaned out of being financially helped. I said enabled, you know, to Camilla, but, you know, being helped by Catherine. I told Camilla that for all these years, because, let's face it, Zelma and Elizabeth are in their mid to late 50s at this point. You know, Catherine has enabled Zelma and Elizabeth to just keep, you know, wasting money, you know, living this bullcrap, you know, keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle on non-essential items, than, you know, getting away with it. I mean, I can say this because, you know, you can plainly see from being around Zelma and Elizabeth that they don't have any kind of accountability to anybody for anything. Not even paying their bills on time, or even a day later if they, like, you know, like they got paid, you know, the day after the bill was due, and then throw it in the mailbox or something. You know, they don't even do that. You know, because both Zelma and Elizabeth have declared bankruptcy both times apiece, which is really embarrassing, really truly embarrassing and pathetic, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, you know, I could see doing bankruptcy once, and then as an absolute last resort, but doing it twice and just walking away the first time with only losing your house and not having to repay any of the bills at all, and then just a few short years later shirking it all off again, and losing yet another house, and then the ones that instance, I mean, she had I can't remember which one it was, but either Elizabeth or Zelma had this big, beautiful, like, almost mansion. You know, they lost it, and then they had to go on and repay most everything, you know, they racked up in repayment due to the laws changing on bankruptcy. What is really wrong is that these two women see absolutely nothing wrong with, you know, doing this kind of stuff every 7, 8, 10 years or however long, you know. And now what is really crazy is that, you know, now Camilla and her husband Louise are now getting messages on both their cell phones and on their home answering machines from Zelma looking for some money to pay some bills that Zelma can't afford to pay on her own, since Catherine's started seriously cutting Zelma off financially. Camilla even told me that once Camilla got a text message from Zelma saying that Zelma wanted to borrow like $250 so Zelma wouldn't lose the electric in her house, because Zelma was running that bad late on an electric bill. Camilla talked to Louise, and both of them agreed that they don't need to give Zelma any money. So Camilla decided not to go on and answer Zelma's text message because Camilla was like busy dealing with some other stuff in her personal life. About, a day or two later or so, Zelma sent Camilla a very psychotic text message back, and Zelma said, not so many words, that Camilla was a wuss for not helping Zelma out, when Camilla had initially thought, probably rightfully so, that Zelma was just going to take off with the money, go to the nearby racetrack with the money to bet on horses instead of actually using the money to pay Zelma's electric bill. I won't say what Zelma said here, because believe me, the easiest way for me to put it is the way Camilla described it to me, is that Zelma used some pretty colorful language in it that I'm willing to bet you that Zelma would definitely not say to Catherine in person or even over the phone if Zelma's life depended on it, because it was pretty bad from what I heard. I mean, it was, whew, and then, I've also heard her doing something like that on their answering machine, and I'm like, and she kisses her mother with that mouth? Like, I think Catherine needs to get bar soap out and, wash Zelma's mouth out. Seriously. I mean, it was that bad. You can use your imagination. And as far as Elizabeth goes, Camilla has also mentioned to me that, recently there was some other business between, like, some of their other siblings. It was like, 3 or 4 of their other siblings, had went on. It was like a business deal or something. And it was, something minor. It was like, like the one was selling another one like a pool table or something. I forget. I mean, it was something dumb. I mean, like, how they're going to get it from the one's house to the other or something. It was minor, pretty minor, get the truck and come on kind of thing. But, Camilla had set Elizabeth straight on what actually transpired between some of the other siblings, and, well, Elizabeth got pissed off at Camilla. And, Elizabeth is so petty. I mean, she is so petty that, if you correct Elizabeth at all or point out that she's wrong in any way, shape, or form, even if she made a mistake, it doesn't matter if it's something like as in, that photo is, or that frame's lopsided, or you hung it cockeyed or something, when it should be, like frame here, frame here, frame here, kind of like that. If she hangs it like this, it's like, that one's cockeyed when everything should all be nice, level, and even. Elizabeth gets all in a snit, and she isn't exactly the forgiving kind, at least not right away at any rate. In other words, Elizabeth won't forgive you for like a year or more if you bust her for, something dumb like that, for cockeyed frames and stuff like that. I told Camilla once that, I told Elizabeth to Elizabeth's face that I don't appreciate, Elizabeth walking out of the room when I walk in the room, with a disgusted look on Elizabeth's face, because I've never done anything, ever, to Elizabeth that would warrant her looking at me like I've got some kind of contagion. But Elizabeth has been, according to Camilla, Elizabeth has been going around with a cobweb full of this stuff for some mysterious reason. And I told Camilla, because after being around Elizabeth for a while, I realized that Elizabeth has that I'm feeling rather entitled today and I'm going to cause somebody else trouble now bullcrap walk that Elizabeth occasionally, she walks around like, she's all that in a bag of chips, and Elizabeth is a troublemaker anyway, she loves nothing more than to see people get into fights and cause trouble and what have you. Zelma's that way to an extent too. And what's worse is, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised on this, is that both Zelma and Elizabeth are more than likely suffering from bipolar or some kind of mental health issue. Because I know with bipolar, they do that, like they'll get, especially when it's, unchecked, untreated, they act just the way that Zelma and Elizabeth are acting all the time with their, money or finances. What's really, really bad, and I feel sorry for Camilla when this happens, but Catherine, to my knowledge, is still living. She's still kicking it. Well, Camilla and I agree that when Catherine passes away, dies, whatever you want to call it, the proverbial crap will hit the proverbial fan when Catherine does go, because of the way that Zelma and Elizabeth are right this minute. I mean, because I'll tell you what, like I told Camilla, I would not, under any circumstances, be shocked if Zelma and Elizabeth let themselves into Catherine's house and just ransack it. I mean, it's just, I would be surprised if they take what I call, and what some other folks I used to know called, 5-finger discount on anything and everything that Zelma and Elizabeth can physically carry off with them in their vehicles, without somebody else stopping Zelma or Elizabeth at all. I also went on in that same breath to tell Camilla that I wouldn't be shocked if, Zelma and Elizabeth make off with stuff, that they also try to pawn or hawk whatever those two, being Zelma and Elizabeth, try to take from Catherine's house once Catherine dies. And Camilla said, I wouldn't be shocked either. But, I mean, it is, one thing, like, for, a parent to help the kids out, if the parents know the kids are trying to, do their stuff, but they're, like, struggling. Like, I know, like, when I lost my job several years ago, and I was married to Alex, what happened is I missed a bill payment, and I needed, like, it was some ridiculous amount, like $100 or something, and my parents, spotted me the 100, and as soon as I got me a job, I paid them back, no big deal. But, Catherine doesn't do that, with Zelma and Elizabeth. I mean, Elizabeth and Zelma just run helter-skelter all over Catherine, and I feel horrible for her, for Catherine, that is, because she's older now, and she should be able to relax and enjoy her life, and, so on and so forth, but it isn't happening. She's got people calling her house all the time, and, they're like, well, is Zelma or Elizabeth there? And they're like, no, and blah, 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 and it's just, it makes the poor thing upset. I mean, it really does. I mean, it just, oh my God, the poor lady, she just gets all worked up over it, because it just really, worries her really, really bad, to get those kind of phone calls, but anyway, with that said, I'm going to pause here, because I want to shoot that next video for you guys, alright, so hang on.